Hi. All right, Mr. President.
Yes, doctor.
You know, Peter is coming on my podcast too, so I'm going to get to say Mr. President twice.
How
You
awesome.
guys, today's fun. Today's fun because I'm going to say that Dr. Jack Bourla has bridged the gap between the powers that be within chiropractic and the body of chiropractors that are out here doing our best to make it in practice. You have this ability to become one of many, but also to stand on a platform that's really significant in our profession. So please introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you? What do you do? All of it.
God, I know who I am. I just wish I knew what I was doing. I'm Jack Bourla. I am a chiropractor, proud chiropractor. I currently serve as president of Sherman College of Chiropractic in Spartanburg County, South Carolina. I have never had such a great time in my life in this current role. I loved being in practice. I was in practice for 25 years. And maybe we can talk about this later. Depends on where we end up going, because with the two of us, we never know. But I will tell you that I'm reading a really great book these days. And I don't know if you're familiar with this particular book. It's a great book. So I spent a lot of my time reading.
I'm sorry, what was the book that you were reading? I didn't quite see it.
It's called Staff.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know if you know about this book, but I do spend a lot of my time reading. And I came back from our holiday break, and there was a box on my desk, and it was from you, Jody. And in that box was a copy of your book and some other things of significance, like fidget spinners, of which I have a collection. But at Sherman, I have this incredible opportunity to mingle with some of the brightest minds in the profession, chiropractors and non-chiropractors who are on faculty, who are on staff. But most importantly, I get to hang out with the students. And this, for me, is what keeps me going every day. It leads to incredible insight into not only chiropractic, but the human perspective.
Can you give us a lot of people think chiropractic school is just a trade school, and it's like a year or maybe 6 months. And I get all the time, you're not a real doctor, you're just a chiropractor. Can you give us a little bit of what it takes to become a chiropractor in 2026?
Sure. Number one quality is insanity. You must be to do this. Chiropractic is a profession that, as you know, it's been around for over 130 years. And it was founded on a principle that there's this incredible intelligence within the body which governs how we function. And one way to access this incredible intelligence is through the spine, the physical spine itself, and the alignment of the spine, which affects the neurology of the body. And when there is an interruption to the proper neurology of the body, the human body can't experience life as it was intended. And so the founders and the developers of the profession really honed in on that. And over the past 130 years or so, science has begun to verify some of their hypotheses. And we're finding now, through incredible ability to image, to measure body function and physiology, that in fact, when you do make what we call the chiropractic adjustment, which is an intervention to help the body restore proper nerve function, that things happen more normally. Chiropractic was never really intended to be a therapy or to cure or fix anything. It was intended to allow the body to express itself the way it was intended to be. So chiropractic the school itself is a 3.5-year process after you've completed all the requirements to get into the college. It's very rigorous.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, me too. And
it was so, and I didn't know that we were so close. I graduated in 2000. You graduated in 97.
Yeah.
And I had to study 2 times harder than my classmates because I had never been a scholar. It was just, it didn't come naturally to me. And, you know, I hear people say, oh, you're just a chiropractor, you're not a real doctor. And I think to myself, I pounded pavement in South Carolina when I was there. I studied my you-know-what off. So why is it necessary to have a doctorate when you are a chiropractor? Can you put those pieces together for us?
Yeah, if I had my way, we would never be called doctors. We would
Tell me why.
Because it's confusing to so many people, including chiropractors. It allows us to have more credibility. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You know, dentists go by dentists. You don't really call them doctor. You call them dentists.
But having the word doctor in front of your name starts this conversation of you're going to fix me. And it's like this constant uphill battle. For 25 years now, I've been having the same conversation. I'm not going to fix you because you're not broken.
Right.
You're here to be more connected, right? But I think that there's a presumption that happens.
You're absolutely right. The presumption is not only without the profession, but within the profession. And some are very confused as to what our role is in society. So if it was up to me, if I had started 130 years ago, I'd be really old. But I would have said, no, doctor, let's just call ourselves chiropractors so that we don't confuse anybody. And let's define what chiropractic is. Because once the definition has been given to you, then you can choose to either work within the definition or outside the definition.
What's chiropractic, Jack? Give it to me. Give me the definition.
So the definition of chiropractic, which we can find in chiropractic textbooks, is a philosophy, science, and art of things natural. It's a system of adjusting the segments of the spinal column by hand only for the correction of the cause of dis-ease.
So if somebody gives an adjustment, and this is getting a little bit off topic, but I'm so curious what you're going to say. If somebody gives an adjustment and they use something other than their hands, that's not a chiropractic adjustment?
No, that is an adjustment. If you use an instrument, for example. Yeah. The reason that particular definition was I believe given is that in the early 1900s, there were actually surgeons who were trying to correct vertebral subluxation via surgery.
Right.
And so we want to step outside of that and bring it back into your hands. Now, if you talk to D.D. Palmer or B.J. Palmer, they prefer to use their hands because they could feel that moment when a patient is relaxed enough to receive an adjustment. Which is an important,
connected.
Yeah, it's an important thing. But if your style or if your preference or if your training is such that you use an instrument, which we see a lot of these days, then by all means, if you're proficient and well trained in that, then do that. If your intention is to assist the body to correct vertebral subluxation.
So I want to take a hard right. Okay.
Sure.
With that being said, and people go through rigorous schooling and they move to South Carolina or Atlanta or wherever they are, and they come out and they hang a shingle and they're ready to rock and roll. What advice would you give them in that moment?
Above all things, be ethical.
Yeah.
Above all things, use your appropriate training, but more importantly, know who you are and what your role is. I think that too many of us have been given this idea that we're now doctors, so we can go out and do all kinds of things. Chiropractors do one thing, and that's chiropractic. But chiropractors are allowed by law and by choice to do other things. And I'm not a policeman. I'm not here to police the profession, but I am here to say that if you're a chiropractor, know what chiropractic is, and then be really, really good at that.
Say the chiropractor or the name chiropractor is on the doctorate, and that person doesn't know what a subluxation is, and they hang the shingle and they open their doors and they turn the lights on. What's the advice to them?
Go back to school. Pick a different one. If you leave chiropractic school and you don't know what chiropractic is, that's a problem within the profession, and certainly a problem within the school. Now, I'm not here to criticize any other school, and I'm not here to praise any other school. All I can do is tell you what we do at Sherman. And Sherman, which was opened in 1973 by Doctors Tom and Betty Gilardi, were opened with the intention and the direction and the directive to keep chiropractic.
Right.
And so
do you see that any other profession has this thing where we call this chiropractic, but other people are calling, is that dichotomy happening in other natural healthcare?
I think it probably does. We may not hear about it as much because we are so entrenched within chiropractic, but I'm sure if we talk to dentists, they have different ideas about what they do. If you talk to acupuncturists, they may have different ideas about what they do. And I'm sure there's a lot of infighting. There's infighting within medicine. For example, if a medical doctor decides that they want to start using natural remedies versus the pharmaceutical and therapeutic remedies.
Food.
Right. I'm sure there's going to be some infighting amongst those who feel prescriptions are necessary versus those who think more holistic, natural alternatives are necessary. Um, my, it's funny. I just posted something on social media, and
No,
I
you
know, believe it or not,
never.
and and I posted a question: what would happen if kindness met diplomacy?
Say it again.
What would happen if kindness met diplomacy? And so I used my good friend Chat GPT,
Yeah,
good buddy of mine.
we ref.
Yeah, so we resonate sometimes, and I usually don't like using AI stuff. I think that if I have an idea, I want it to be original and creative, but sometimes you need help. And as I'm getting older in life, I need more and more help. By the way, and so I posed the question to ChatGPT, and it came up with a very very um, reasonable conclusion as to what happens when kindness meets diplomacy, and it's about relationships. I think that we are too quick to throw relationships away. But
Hmm.
in fact, that's what life is all about: is connections, relationships, and feeling like you can be yourself in other people's company.
What relationships are important to be successful in practice?
I think you have to have a relationship with honesty, integrity. I think you
So,
need
not necessarily relationships with people, relationships with states of mind or different character assets.
yes, yes. And I think when you have those states of mind, you will bring the people into your life that were supposed to be in your life. You know, I
Right.
don't, I don't think, Jody, I don't think, and you may have heard me say this before, and I'm sure you have, but I came across a quote many, many years ago when I was the dean at Life West. And I was hanging out with two of my friends, Monique Andrews and Tamara McIntyre. And we decided that one night we were going to leave campus because we're all working there together. We're going to leave campus and go to a restaurant away from campus so we're not going to be interrupted. And we were going to solve all the problems of the world. That was our goal. And so we ended up at this restaurant in Hayward, California, which we weren't intending to go to, but we passed by it and it looked really nice from the outside. The menu was great. It was early in the evening, so there's plenty of available tables. So we went in, and when you are in the presence of someone who's majestic,
Hmm.
how everything about you, your DNA begins to change. Well, we approached the hostess stand, and there was this young woman who was the hostess there, and she just had this aura about her. And we asked for a table for three, and so she sat us. She took our drink order, and while we're waiting for a drink order, she was delivering food to the only other table that was there. It was early in the evening, like maybe 5 or 5:30. And as she passed this, Jody, I noticed on her shoulder she had a tattoo of writing. And when she came back to us and approached us, I stopped her and I said, "Excuse me, but I'm not a creeper." I am. I said, "But I'm not a creeper." I said, "I noticed you have writing on your shoulder. What does it say?" And she said, "Everyone carries a piece of the puzzle. Nobody comes into your life by mere coincidence. Trust your instincts, do the unexpected."
Mm.
And I said, "My God, that is a fabulous quote." I said, "Who said that?" She says, "My grandfather." I said, "How sweet that you would have I'm talking like an old Jewish guy now. How sweet that you would have your grandfather's quote on your shoulder tattooed." And she said, "Yes." I said, "Is he somebody famous?" She said, "He's pretty famous." I said, "Well, who's your grandfather?" And she said, "Dr. Timothy Leary." Dr. Leary was a Harvard psychologist who led the counterculture revolution, who advocated expansion of the mind through the use of LSD. Now, I don't ascribe to that, but I thought that's fascinating. When she left, I said, "She's lying." So I Googled it. And sure enough, I Googled the quote and it came up. And that segment that she had mentioned was much part of a much longer quote. But what she didn't have on her tattoo were the three last words of the quote, which I think make it the power that it is. And that's this: everyone carries a piece of the puzzle. Nobody comes into your life by mere coincidence. Trust your instincts, do the unexpected, and here's the three words: find the others. And
Mm.
I think find the others is what we are intended to do on this planet. It's
Hmm.
not by chance, Jody, that you and I met one day and
Hmm.
hit it off as friends. It's not by chance that we share the same sixth sense of humor. It's not by chance that you have this idea of chiropractic, as do I, and the great business that it could do for humanity. So I don't think that we should take relationships for granted, but I think within the relationships we have to have some form of kindness and diplomacy.
Hmm. I think that's beautiful, first of all. And have you read the book, The Peaceful Warrior, Dan Millman?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, even the person pumping your gas or checking you out in the supermarket, or you don't know where the message is going to come from. And all of these people are, I have the honor and the privilege of working with people on the other side of the world every day. I have 15 people on my team at this point. And the humility and the kindness, it's par for the course for them. It's not an entitlement. They are raised in kindness. They are raised in humility. And I've never experienced anything like it. So, and I guess that brings me to my next point is, and this goes to anybody who is starting a practice or in practice and just suffering, right? We all suffer. Yes, it's part of the human condition, but if you dread going to the office, and if you're staying at the office 2 hours after your last person leaves, and you are just asking yourself over and over, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? What is the advice that goes to that person? Because they're not going to go back to school, right? What do they do to pivot the conversation in their world?
I think it's going to take some honest reflection, intro reflection with yourself. I can't imagine ever having gone to my office and saying, I have to go to work today. I just never, that was not my mindset. My mindset was, I woke up in the morning and I said, I get to go to work today, because I knew that if I did a good job at what I do, people's lives were going to change and get better. Mm-hmm. So if that's not enough to motivate you, inspire you, and get you out of bed every morning, then you either have to change your mindset or maybe hire a coach. Mm-hmm. I hear about coaches all the time. Even the best athletes in the world, even the best orators in the world have coaches. Someone who could help them see from an outside perspective what they're demonstrating to the world. And so I think that if you're not happy, first of all, you got to dig deep and ask yourself, why aren't you happy?
Right.
Right. Chiropractic for me was never a job. It was
not many people would say that they're happy, Jack. Not all, especially in, chiropractic, naturopathic, dentistry, especially. Not many people would stamp themselves happy. Maybe content.
Yeah, see, content's not enough for me.
You want happiness.
I want happiness.
Yeah.
And how do you know? How do you know? You know when years after you've had a relationship with someone, a patient who you had a great encounters with, and for some reason they move away, or you move away, or life circumstances takes them away, but they write to you, they text you, or they call you. See, everybody gets my phone number.
Or they bring you their baby when they were a baby.
Right. Or they say to you, I have a big life event coming up. Would you officiate my wedding for me?
Right.
I've had that.
You know you're right on.
Yeah. Or, you remember when Maria was born and you adjusted her at 3 or 4 hours of her life, and they say, now she's 18 and she's doing her first ballet recital. We'd like you to be there.
Right.
Those things. Or when they come in and you can't see it, but on my wall I have one of those shadow boxes. And I had a young woman who I had taken care of for a number of years, and she was an Irish dancer. And I don't even remember that she was an Irish dancer, but she came in one day and she had a little box. And in the box was a medal, her first place gold medal for the U.S. competition that she had. She says, I want to give this to you because had you not taken care of me, I would not have been able to dance.
Yeah. And you guys, we hear it all the time. It's almost like it's expected, right? Yeah. I have a practice member who first came to me at 5 months old, and mom and dad knew something was off and heard about me and chiropractic in general. Yeah. And I started adjusting baby, and then I started adjusting mom, and then big sister and big brother came in, and then dad came in, and then grandma started coming in, and then cousins started coming in. Mm-hmm. And it kind of all became the norm that this big family got adjusted regularly. And it wasn't until like 2 years later that there was a conversation in the adjusting room where they were like, oh yeah, obviously we came here because let's call her Janie. Janie brought us here. And I'm like, how did Janie bring you here? And because you forget, like there's a lot that happens in a practice, right? And mom looks at me and says, Janie got adjusted by you. And that was the first time we ever saw her smile.
Yeah.
At 5 months old. And there's a part of me where like it goes right to my soul when I hear that stuff. But there's another part of me that, yeah, that was my story too. It chiropractic turned color into my world, right?
Yeah.
I want to pivot again.
No.
Yeah. I want to go one more time. And
Sure.
I want to talk about systems in practice, not necessarily chiropractic practice, just zooming out practice in general.
Mm-hmm.
Internal systems, external systems. Where do we learn that? If someone is in practice 5 years and you walk into their office and it smells like mold and there's papers stacked up this high and their receptionist is drinking a Diet Coke and looks at you and then looks back down, and where do you start with that? I know we're talking coaching. I love that concept, but where else? Like, how do you learn how to run a clean, lean, streamlined practice as a chiropractor or any other wellness practice? What would your advice be?
Boy, that's tough.
It's a good question, isn't it?
Great question. It's a tough one to answer because we all have different mindsets.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, for example, thrive in an environment where they have paper stacked up and they like the smell of mold and they like to see 3 people a day. And for them, that's enough. For others, I'm OCD. I'm anal compulsive. I can't stand clutter. I can't stand, everything has to be in its place. You know how some people see a smudge mark on their wall and after the 3rd day, they don't see it anymore? I have 3 days of horror until I get the chance to.
Jack, it's sitting on my desk. Like, this is what I do when I get bored.
Yeah. So, in my office, honestly, the first of every month. So my system was this: the first of every month, no matter what day it was a signal that I would touch up paint. And I had those, the rubber baseboards. I would take out my what do they call that? Oil, 4-in-1, 3-in-1, whatever it is. It was oil. And I would polish my baseboards and I would vacuum every corner in my ceiling to make sure there are no spider webs.
What is that? Why?
Because if I'm going to go into an office, that's what I look for. And I won't go into an office that doesn't meet those type of standards. There are offices that do that. Mine was one of them. I felt that when you walk into a place, there's a few things that you do. One is you observe, you see, mm-hmm. you hear, and you smell. So I always had vanilla essential oils diffused in my office because there's 2 really strong smells that people associate. One is lavender, which is kind of calming. And the other is vanilla, which is kind of uplifting. And so people would come to my office and say, your office always smells like vanilla. And I would say then, well, it's intentional because it's meant to uplift it. But more importantly, it's a very popular odor. So when you're out and about in your community and you smell that vanilla smell, I want you to think about my office and who you might be referring to me. Number 1. Number 2, it's got to be orderly. No one wants to go into a pigsty. And the other thing is that auditory. You're listening all the time. So I knew who I served. I served women between the ages of 30 and 60. These are called sandwich moms. And the reason they're called sandwich moms is because they're sandwiched in between 2 generations that they take care of, their children and their parents. And the one thing that they want more than anything else is time. And if they're not well, or if their children aren't well, or if their parents aren't well, they don't have the time that they want. So I had all of the things that I needed, I thought, to attract them. So I played, for example, what's called yacht rock music. It's kind of 70s rock. And the reason I played yacht rock, like a boat, yacht, YACHT, yacht rock.
Is that a jackism or
No. Go on Pandora. You can or internet or Spotify. You'll see it's yacht rock. But that's the music that their parents listened to, that they grew up listening to, and everybody, and then subsequently their children listened to. So when people would come in, between the ages of 30 and 60, almost all of them knew the words to the songs that were playing. So they immediately had this level of comfort in coming to the office. So it smelled good, it looked good, it sounded very familiar to them. And then I had a woman at my front desk for years named Trish. I think Trish was the main reason people came to the office. She was so good at conversations. I had open adjusting, so I was in the back adjusting people, and the conversations that took place were in the front when they came in, and in the front when they left.
Right.
When they came to me, I would talk to them, and I'd always want to find out about their life. I never said, "How you doing?" I always asked, "How's your life?"
Right.
I want to know about their life. And so they would tell me, and I was able to navigate the conversation to give them the sense that it could not, because in a fake way, but give them the sense I'm listening, I see you, I hear you, I'm going to address your concerns. And then when you're done, you're going to listen to Trish, and Trish is going to make you feel really, really good about your existence, and she'll make sure you come back. So having the right people, having the right environment, having the right stimuli was so important in my practice that. And if you came into my office at any time and you sat in my reception room, you would know exactly who I took care of.
Right. It's a feeling. And it's common to chiropractors. And I think it's one of the biggest missing pieces in the medical profession. And there, of course, are exceptions. The book that you were just holding up, Staff List, there's a chapter in there called The Cold Hard Chair Weight. And it's about me like sitting in a chair in an OBGYN office. It's cold, COVID's going around. So like they're taking my temperature on my forehead, and it could not be less personal about something that is very personal. Right. Yeah. And the irony, like it makes me want to scream. So always going to the opposite of that experience for our practice members. We have 4 minutes left. So I am going to ask this question, and then I'm going to ask you if there's anything else you want to share.
Sure.
Let's say that one of your graduating docs is thinking about learning from me and from the staffless practice world. I want to hear what you would say to them if they said, I'm thinking about checking out what Dr. Jody Dinnerman's doing with staffless practice. What's your 2 cents about it?
First thing I would ask was, why her? What does she offer that you think you don't already have? Number one. Number two, what evidence do you have that she's the right person for you? Have you looked into this yet? And have you checked her out? Have you called her references? I would always ask for references to any coaching client. I'd like to talk to some of your clients. And if they say, no, I can't do that, I said, well, thank you for the opportunity. And I would go somewhere else. In your case, because I know who you are, I know what you do. And by the way, I've got this really cool book. I would encourage them to have a very, very heart-to-heart conversation with you to find out, Dr. Dinnerman, this is where I am. I'm completing my schooling. I believe I have a lot of skills. I believe I have some certainty and some confidence and some competence, but I need some help formulating all this into a practice. And I would say to you, Dr. Dinnerman, show me that you can help me get to where I want to be. And your next question should be, where do you want to go? So there has to be a dialogue between coaches. It can't be a one-way conversation. It has to be a conversation. So if someone were to say to me, I want to work with Jody Dinnerman, I'd say, first of all, great choice. Number two, what have you done to check it out? Number three, understand that she may or may not be a good fit for you. And conversely, you may or may not be a good fit for her. But a conversation is what's going to help to bring out these points. And I think that a coaching relationship never ends, even though they may not be paying you anymore. I've heard way too many people say, I hired a coach, but when I stop, I never hear from them again. That's not a relationship.
Right. Russ Rosen has been a coach. I actually don't coach.
Yeah.
I just run staffless practice, and we have a whole team of coaches. So Russ Rosen is one of my favorite coaches in the chiropractic.
Love Russ.
And him and Roberto Monaco is one of my coaches. And it's this ongoing conversation for decades. There will never be a time when they're not in my cell phone and I can text either of them. And then I have 2 business coaches. I have a nutrition coach. I have 3 CrossFit coaches. I cannot imagine being in practice, and of course from the seat that I'm in now, without coaches. I can't imagine it. And with that being said, I'm not, coaching isn't my jam. My jam is creating, right? And truthfully, I'll only work with people now who are changing industries, who are industry leaders. And but boy, oh boy, do we have some awesome people coaching on my team. With that being said, what else did we not cover that you want the world, the staffless practice world, to know about? What did we leave out?
Well, I think we left out a lot about the details of what a staffless office looks like. So maybe we could do version 2.
Part 2,
the sequel. I think it's important for people to know what are you bringing to the table? What does that mean to have a staffless? You don't mean staffless. You mean only the necessary amount of staff. And it depends on how your practice set it. Like, for example, I didn't bill insurance. So I didn't need a billing team. I was a cash practice. Which changes the dynamics completely of conversations and systems.
You needed a Trish her name was Trish?
Trish.
You needed Trish to make your practice members comfortable and 100%. To keep them loved on while you were doing your thing. I don't need that because my practice isn't that busy anymore, right? Everybody in their practice Trish might not have been the person to do the billing or to empty the trash or to go to spinal screenings, but the value that she brought to your practice it's priceless. Right? And so finding the right people.
Yeah, one important point. This is about Trish. Is that Trish never had an employee mentality. She had an owner's mentality.
Yes.
And so she would pick up the trash if she needed to. She would, if I missed a scuff mark on the wall, she would grab the paintbrush and repair that. So you have to have people whose mindsets and whose work ethics mirror and parallel yours. And when they do, you've got an office that's going to hum. And ours hummed.
The next time I come to Sherman, I'm going to bring my sneakers and I'm going to make a mark on your wall.
I don't mind, as long as but I want you to sign it.
I will totally sign it. Jack, I adore you, and I'm really grateful that you stayed on my podcast for this long and that we have the ability to share in the way that we do. If you hang out in the podcast room, Jack, please. Yes. And if you're watching this, go make the world better with great care. Please reach out. Jack, how do they get in touch with you or the Sherman community at large?
My cell number is area code 650-465-3889. 650-465-3889. My email is jbourla@sherman.edu. You can text me. If you call me, it's likely I won't answer. But if you text me, I'll be back within an hour. I'll get back to you. So text me if you have a question, a comment. If you want to love me or hate me, it's okay. As long as we have a relationship, that's good.
That's cool, Jack. You're cool, man. Keep being cool. All right, you guys.
Send me a note. Thank you.
Yeah, get in touch with him by all means. Jack, hang out.
I'm hanging.